My guest is Brian Engelhart. Brian, how are you?
Doing well, Anthony. How are you?
I am good. You have the distinction not only of having been the first guest ever on this podcast way back in 2020.
Indeed.
But you are now going to be the first guest on the Asher Shortcast, which is a whole different thing than we did last time.
Very good. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I am too.
I'm also short, so it's working out for everybody.
Well, that was a little on the nose, but yeah. So when we first thought of the podcast, we came up with this great concept. We're going to talk about people's career. We're going to talk about where they work and the work they're doing.
Sure.
But we didn't realize that didn't really leave a lot of opportunity for people to come back. So it was like, how can we get people to come back? So the goal of this interview is to hear about what's going on and what's new in your world. And the timing happens to be really great because of some big news at Indiana Tech that we'll get into in just a second.
Right.
So not only are you the first guest ever on the podcast, but you're also the first non-Asher employee return guest. And the accolades continue.
It's an honor. It's an honor. And, you can always get people to come back by upping the compensation or, free drinks or these kind of things. So I'm just suggesting improvements for the future.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll do maybe a third interview. Let's hold that.
Okay.
Hold a little bit back for a third interview.
Okay.
We can't handle all the wisdom at once.
Okay. Got it.
All right. So the big news at Indiana Tech is a grant from the Lilly Foundation, a $21 million grant to fund a new building or the development of a new program at a building at Electric Works.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So, yes, very exciting news for one thing. Thank you to everybody at the Lilly Endowment for their support of that project. It was part of an initiative that Lilly announced just about a year and a half ago, not quite, that they called College and Community Collaborations. And College and Community Collaborations is pretty much exactly how it sounds. They were looking for colleges and universities across Indiana to come up with innovative new programs that would serve the community primarily, in concert with university pulling up alongside that to make it go. So some things to keep in mind with that were it could not primarily benefit our students. It could not be something that was on your campus. It couldn't be those things, not that it couldn't benefit your students, it could. So long story short, they were generous with allowing for a feasibility grant, which allowed you to study opportunities, and we took advantage of that opportunity. And over a course of about 6 to 8 months, we really looked at a number of projects and really landed on this one that's going to be located at Electric Works. So what it is a program that's going to be centered on a place, but also offer programming to a wide range of both clients, students of all ages, and the general public. So the place will be an automation innovation center located in what is now Building 36 on the Electric Works campus. So if you're familiar with that at all, it's just to the west of the part of campus that's already been renovated. They've done fabulous work there, a lot of energy going on in terms of both public spaces, companies moving in there, and really becoming what it was envisioned to be as an innovation district. So the building itself will serve a variety of purposes. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, Indiana Tech launched what's called the Northeast Indiana Center for Engineering. And the intent of that was really to start to bring to bear the talents of our professors, the abilities of our students, and that next upcoming generation of talent to bear on challenges for companies and partners around the region centered in our all-new engineering center on campus. And so when this opportunity came along, we said, well, what if we thought bigger about that idea and really bring that to more people and add more layers to it? So the Building 36 initiative will allow everything from, say I'm a company in the region that has invested in automation and bringing more technology and the next generation of manufacturing to my facility. But I maybe don't quite have the place or the talent to really kind of experiment or, test out something that I'm thinking about. My production lines are busy or my space is limited or I just don't have somebody to focus on it. So it's a place you could even bring equipment to have it really kind of do a shakedown and see will it help my process, will it help my facility. So that's one element where we could partner up with area firms to serve them. Second is, for area entrepreneurs, maybe have a product idea, a process idea that can serve some of the industries in this region, but I don't have a place to really kind of see if it'll work. And so this is a place where you can come and do testing, research, prototyping, and that applies to established companies as well. So maybe I have something innovative that I'm trying with maybe some new materials or a new process again. So I could partner with Indiana Tech in this facility to do that. Just as exciting is that starts to open up a lot of opportunities for everybody from young people in the region thinking about what could my career look like in Northeast Indiana as some of these industries start to become more tech-driven? What could, if I'm a college student, if I want to be an engineer of some kind, how do I get my hands on some experiences? And that's not just Indiana Tech students. It's any student from colleges around the region. But then also, what if I'm a working adult and I want to switch my career? I want to get a certificate to really enter some of these fields. This will be a place where you can come and get that kind of programming. Since we'll be partnered up with companies and entrepreneurs, you can get hands-on experience working with them. Those companies and those burgeoning businesses now have a better access to talent pipeline. So it really starts to become this cycle where you could come as an individual, get trained, maybe you go work in a great environment at a great company. Then maybe you have a product idea, you become an entrepreneur, you grow your own business, and away you go. And it helps the regional economy that way too.
So Indiana Tech has always been a good community collaborator.
Yep.
How does this, you mentioned that's one of the goals of the grant, how does this complement what Indiana Tech has been doing? What does it add to the equation that maybe wasn't quite realized or wasn't quite there?
Well, I think when you think about Indiana Tech, what really we started to gravitate to when we were thinking about the grant is, this foundational principle of let's have it grounded in things we're already good at, right? Because that's going to allow us to more quickly and better be able to capitalize on our strengths to make whatever we do even more successful. So a couple of strands that are noteworthy in Indiana Tech's history. One is, we have this long history, almost 100 years now, of being here in STEM fields. So we were founded as strictly an engineering college. We've now become a comprehensive four-year university, but that STEM history is really woven throughout everything we do. And so that's certainly true in our College of Engineering and Computer Sciences, but it's equally true in our College of Arts and Sciences with the programs we have there, our College of Business. When you think about the modern workplace, basically every job is a tech job, right? You have to have a facility with technology, with computer science, more and more with artificial intelligence, all these kinds of things. And so we are very intentional about baking those experiences and that knowledge into every degree program that we have. So that's sort of one strand that really makes a lot of sense when you start to think about how can you help an economy, the regional economy, how can you help regional companies innovate, how can we be attracting that next group of companies to relocate here so that we can promise them we're going to have talent that's ready to go. So that's sort of where we come from the STEM field. But also with that, we have a long history of working with a wide range of students. And, the way I think about that is, we've always been dedicated to making education more accessible and more impactful for more people. We're always looking to widen and add doors into education for more people. So starting even back in our early history, we had working adults of all ages taking our engineering programs. We deliberately designed them when they were first developed in the 30s and 40s even to be more, you continually go and you earn a bachelor's degree in 2 years, not 4 years, recognizing that people want to get into those careers sooner. Over the course of history, that grew into then we were an early adopter of remote locations. We established a location down in Indianapolis. Back in the day, we had correspondence courses, if some of your listeners are familiar with those. That grew into our current online offering, where we've been at online courses and teaching working adults in that modality for over 20 years now, which there's still a lot of higher ed that sort of thinks of online classes as new, but that history shows it's really not, and then we've been at that for a while. So from that, we learned a few things in terms of what are the challenges for working adults, for people who maybe are looking to reskill, get a new skill, go back to school and finish a degree or a certificate. And a lot of times it's the barriers to spending time on the education, not the work itself. So maybe I'm working 2 jobs and I don't have time. I have a family and I have to tend to them.
And a lot of times it's both of those things.
A lot of times it's all of those things. So some of the elements of this, we wanted to be able to be very intentional about how are we reducing some of those barriers and making this work for them. So it's really kind of those two things that we're really particularly good at Indiana Tech that really this idea started to grow out of.
This podcast is brought to you by Asher Agency, a full-service marketing agency with offices in Indiana, West Virginia, and Washington, D.C. For nearly 50 years, Asher has helped our clients tell their stories, reach customers and prospects, and stand out from the crowd. To learn more about how we can help your company, visit asheragency.com or contact us at hello@asheragency.com.
So in addition, a related question. So there's entities in Northeast Indiana that are focused on business incubation and innovation.
Yep.
How will this effort complement those existing entities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that my mind first goes to when you ask that is, business attraction. Mm-hmm. So when you think about trying to attract today's organizations to a city, a region, those kind of places, really what they're looking for first is a readily accessible base of talent.
Yep.
Can I find people to do the things I need to do for my current customer base and also to grow? Mm-hmm. And so we worked very carefully with groups like Northeast Indiana and the team there to really think through, like, what are you all hearing as far as, what we currently have on offer here? How can we make it better? How can we really do more to be a place that would attract companies, for them to know, like, that's a place, one, where I can get help with my projects and doing research and product development, but also there's going to be a steady stream of talented people coming out of that place. Mm-hmm. So that was very helpful, and I think this will really be impactful on those efforts. Second is, really serving existing businesses. When you think about Northeast Indiana and the economy here, we're well known for basically making stuff, right? We're one among the best in the world at that. Mm-hmm. Indiana in general, but Northeast Indiana and Northern Indiana specifically. And, I think sometimes that we rightfully focus on how to diversify from that, mm-hmm. but I don't think we should turn our back on the fact that we have a long history of really being good at that. Yeah. And innovation can happen in that space just as well as anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And the inclusion of technology and those kind of things. So there are any number of, longstanding businesses here who are going to continue to pivot to new technologies, to innovative solutions, to these kinds of things that need help doing it. Mm-hmm. And so this place and these people who will be getting trained there will enable them to do that. And then the final piece really is that entrepreneurship piece. Mm-hmm. Do you have the infrastructure in place to really support entrepreneurs? I think, we've got a very robust ecosystem for that here, but it's got a lot of moving parts and pieces. Mm-hmm. And so, I give, organizations like the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center a lot of credit for thinking, a little bit more regionally rather than very, very specific or focused on a community. So we envision partnering up with groups like that to really offer very compelling programming, events, and assistance for entrepreneurs who want to be in this space.
All right. So more designed to be collaborative with those entities.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about, ultimately, why do you think this is important to Indiana Tech, and why is it important beyond Indiana Tech to Northeast Indiana?
Yeah. So the first part of your question, I think for Indiana Tech, really, it's such a tremendous opportunity for our students, mm-hmm. And that's our first mission. It's our only mission. It's our first concern at Tech is how are we really providing that world-class education to students to enter careers and live lives of significance and worth. And so having the opportunities that will come about at a place like this in the programs we're offering and those kind of things will really be very compelling. And so it's not just theory that you're learning at Indiana Tech, it's really getting your hands on projects and working with companies. And that also gives you the opportunity to get to know, that organization that might become your employer, mm-hmm. at which you might become a leader, get you some ideas if you want to start your own business and those kind of things. So first and foremost, it's going to expand the amount of things we can do with and for our students and get them introduced to more of the community. Specific to the community, there's, kind of twofold, I think. One is in the way we think about talent and about our students. And so there's an element of this that we've termed next gen, and that's really all about talent development. Mm-hmm. And so Next Gen is intended to be, how do we really intentionally start lining up talent from an even younger age, all the way through college students and beyond, those going back to school, in a way that's really specifically meeting the needs of area employers in our regional economy. So Next Gen is also intentionally a way of linking up our students and other area college students with the experiences of students in programs like, say, the AMP Lab at Electric Works. So they are very project-oriented. For those of you who are familiar with AMP Lab. And if you're not, I encourage you to get familiar. That's an excellent program that's serving not just Fort Wayne Community School students, but students around the region to really offer those compelling high school experiences on how to work on a project and collaborate and solve problems.
Yeah.
And so we envision our students becoming even more involved in that, but then also AMP Lab students getting those opportunities to do more in this area and become almost kind of a continuum where you start to get exposed to, entrepreneurship, project-based learning, collaboration, thinking through solutions from a very young age. And that continues through your college experience into when you're in the working world. So that's really then starts to become that engine for, we're going to have a reliable pipeline of talent to serve our current businesses and then help the region attract new people here. So though all those are reasons why I think it's going to be fabulous for the regional economy. And also what I think in the end it'll do is when you think back to as Electric Works has developed when it was a concept to now being an active and going and thriving place, the whole vision has always been, how do we make this a true innovation district? And by having this kind of center there, I think it really is going to only accelerate that and even put some jet fuel into that. So it's just super exciting to see that happen in that kind of place.
Yeah, and I would imagine, too, it's another way to embed students in the community and to expose people to Indiana Tech's mission. Indiana Tech, I think, has done a good job throughout its history of being visible in the community. But college campuses can be kind of isolated.
They can.
Where a lot of students, they'll go across campus, but they won't go much further than that. And I would imagine this is a way to help them build relationships beyond the campus community, to help them see parts of Northeast Indiana maybe they wouldn't see. And maybe, just maybe, that sparks them to stay here after graduation if maybe otherwise they would have ended up somewhere else.
Yeah, and one of the things I give Lilly a lot of credit for is that we had a component of our proposal that they actually wound up putting a little bit more money in than we had originally requested, which was actually to develop some additional transportation options between our campus, downtown, the Electric Works campus, which will not just be accessible to our students, it'll be accessible to the community. So as we're able to offer more even on our campus related to these efforts, it just makes that all more accessible, again, to folks who maybe have a transportation challenge, would love to come and learn, but just can't get there. Well, now we're going to start being able to solve some of those problems. And again, credit to Lilly for really buying into that vision.
So what's next? you did a lot of work to get the grant.
Yes.
And now you have, congratulations, you have the grant.
We do.
And it's like, oh, the real work starts now.
Yes.
What does that look like, and what's on your plate in terms of actually launching this project?
Right. Like all of our team had a brief window to sleep, and now that's over. What's next is, already we're connecting with, so we had a wide range of community partners help us with everything from the vision for what this could be to being an active part of our proposal, whether that was just signing a letter of support and indicating, here's how we're going to get behind this, to even investments that they're going to make orbiting around this same kind of place. So we're now kind of getting more and more now from turning it into that concept into a real project. So now how I would say that is we're really starting to get in the weeds of, okay, when we think about, how would a partnership with AMP Lab look and work? We've already started those conversations so that we're additive to one another, not competitive. So that it is sort of that making it, an accelerant for what we're each doing. Same thing with groups like the NIC, and we're working now with the Electric Works development team on, okay, what does this facility need to start to look like, and how do we build that out? So we're doing everything from those kind of meetings and plotting that out. We're really going to next want to create what I would say is going to be an advisory board of area industry, community leaders, hopefully get some, maybe younger voices, some students on that to talk about like what for the facility, like what will the real needs be as far as the equipment, the processes we can test out and do there, the flexibility for people to bring in their own and have that tested out. So all those things we're really plotting out now. And there are some similar facilities out there around the States as well. So we're planning a visit to one with a group that was run by somebody that gave us good insight as part of this process too. So doing all that now. And so there will be more to come. Another thing we're doing is really really getting down the road on settling on, what are we going to call this thing and how are we going to communicate about it and really share with the community all the ways they can get involved. So I would say over the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to start hearing more and more and more about all that. And as we get it out there in the community and people have more opportunities, even before we have that facility, we'll start doing events on Electric Works. We'll start taking some of our classes down there. We'll have some educational opportunities on the campus even before our facility's done.
Well, it sounds like a lot of work.
But it's going to be super fun. I mean, It's just amazing to see. I think it's going to be incredible just what kind of impact this is going to have on Fort Wayne. So all of us at Indiana Tech are really just super excited about this. And to a person, before we were even able to reach out to all of our partners once Lilly announced, because we weren't allowed to share the news until they did.
Sure.
We were hearing within about an hour from all the partners who had been wondering whether we got the grant. So everybody's very excited about it. It's just wonderful to see that energy around it.
Yeah, well, congratulations and good luck with all the work ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. And if you want to volunteer, we've got hours to put in. So.
Well, and thank you for not only being the first guest ever on the podcast, but being the first guest on the Asher Marketing Shortcast.
Well, thanks for inviting me back. I think, at least I didn't break anything last time. So,
well,
if you do the triple cast at some point, I'll come back again. So.
You did a good enough job that it only took us 4 years to invite you back. So you got that going for you.
We had a whole pandemic since then, and, you got those things happening too. So,
well, we will find a way to bring you back a third time. And we will break new ground and we'll do something completely different.
Okay, let's do it. We can do it at Electric Works.
Well, there you go. There you go. And maybe later when you get some of these other things.
Let's have a building so we don't have to do it in the parking lot. So.
Well, thank you. And thanks to everyone who took the opportunity to listen to this episode of the Azure Marketing Shortcast. We'll be back next time with another great guest, and we hope you'll join us then.